Hey, you know what time it is? Woo! Get into it! Get into it! Yes! We're back! Hi, lovelies. Hi. As I always say, you don't have to watch these videos when they go live. You're more than welcome to watch them in your downtime, nap time, max relax and chillaxing time, in between time, mean time, scheme time, study time, break time, CP time. Any time that you want to hear a highly animated voice bring you wonderful stories of magic, fantasy, science fiction, adventure, and music, and many, many more in between. Hi, lovelies. Hi. It's a beautiful Tuesday. And people kept telling me I was wrong, but I know Mother Nature knows I'm right because it is early fall up in here in Ohio and I love it. And it's only a month and a few weeks until my birthday. I'll be 34 this year. I'm super excited. Honey, I don't care how old you get. The fact that you continue to be on this earth each year is a good thing, and it is something to be worth celebrating. The fact that you still exist, the fact that you got friends in your life, and even if you haven't had friends in your life, you go meet some good friends in your life. Why? Because I said so. Now, let's get back to some other friends that we're dealing with in the story. So Kara and the group have arrived at Grimwald's Cavern. Grimwald is the chronicle keeper of the Unicorn Chronicles, the history of Luster and all of the history of the unicorns and their allies and companions and so on. And so Kara, the Dibblethumb, the Squidgem, Thomas the Tinker, and Lightfoot have arrived, and now they've entered into the story room where Grimwald works on writing the Unicorn Chronicles. So they're going to share their adventure. So let's get into it. Chapter 14, The Story Room. It was clearly a room made for writing. Books, scrolls, stacks of paper, notebooks, pens, and pots of ink seemed to cover every available surface, of which there were many, since the room held 5 long, low tables. The dark wooden walls were lined with maps, pictures, and intricately woven tapestries. Unlike the portraits in the first hall, these pictures seemed to illustrate specific events. The walls were made of stone and wood. Natural outthrusts of stone had been carved into seats. Some were even padded with cushions. 3 of the larger indentations in the cavern walls had been transformed to lantern-lit reading nooks, featuring shelves carved right into the stone. The shelves held pens, papers, and some little wooden figures, which honestly sounds like heaven for me. It's kind of like a hobbit hole, completely underground, with the best place to not only read but to write. 2 things that I love to do. In one wall, a merry fire blazed in a huge fireplace. Unlike the cavern's witch fire, this one cast a lovely warmth. A broad, shallow pit carved in front of the hearth provided a spot to sit and gaze into the flames. It took Kara a moment to realize that the chairs were of many sizes. She suddenly suspected that the rugs scattered about the floor were in fact resting places for guests. To the left of the fireplace, a little stream sprang from an opening about 5 feet above the floor, creating a tiny waterfall. At its base was a pool about 3 feet in diameter. No stream ran out of the pool, so Kara assumed the water must somehow drain from the bottom. Next to the little fall stood a rack that held a collection of cups and noggins of many sizes and shapes. I want to live here, thought Kara. Find a place and settle in, said Grimwald as he scurried behind one of the tables. Mounting a stool, he spread a piece of curling paper before him, then set a polished rock at each corner to hold it down. Muttering to himself, he began trying to select a pen. Lightfoot folded his legs and curled up on a deep purple rug. The Dibblethumb and Thomas each picked up a wooden chair and moved it closer to the fire. After running about for a moment, the Squidgem finally leaped into Thomas's lap, wrapping his tail around himself. He settled down with a sigh. 3 minutes later, however, he was climbing onto shelves and examining things. Kara hesitated, then positioned herself beside Lightfoot. Though she had wanted to sit with him all along, she had been afraid he would think she was clinging to him. Then she realized that if she didn't sit with him, she would not be able to understand anything the Dibblethumb or the Squidgem said. "All right, what's your story?" asked Grimwald, looking directly at Kara. "I beg your pardon?" Your story, he said impatiently. That's my job, to collect all the stories that involve the unicorns. Not only to collect them, said Lightfoot sharply, to record them and make them accessible. You'll have the story in good time. Right now, we need the story behind what is happening to this child. Kara, show him the amulet. Rising, Kara pulled the amulet from beneath her t-shirt. Lifting the chain over her head, she carried it to Grimwald. He gasped. One of the Queen's 5, he muttered as he examined it. After a moment, he looked up at her. Did Ivy give this to you? Kara nodded. Why? She took a breath, then told him what had happened the evening she and her grandmother had been pursued into St. Christopher's. Grimwald made notes as she spoke, his pen scratching across the paper. When she was finished, he picked up the amulet and dangle from his fingertips. He stared at it with an expression that Kara found strange and terrible. After a moment, she looked at Lightfoot and said, I fear the hunters have returned. Who are the hunters? Asked Kara. Before Grimwald could answer, Lightfoot came to stand beside her. She placed her hand on his shoulder. Use the common tongue, the unicorn said to Grimwald. The others must hear this as well. To Kara's shock, she felt an undertone of fear in Lightfoot's message, a fear so strong it frightened her as well. Certainly, said Grimwald, though much of it will be things that you already know. That is all right, said Lightfoot. Kara, come sit with me while Grimwald tells of what has been, of the enemy that drove us from Earth so long ago. They returned to the purple rug. Kara knelt with her hand on Lightfoot's neck and stared at the old man expectantly. The Dimplethumb growled and shifted in his seat. The Squidgem left off his explorations and returned to Thomas's lap. Looking directly at Kara, Grimwald said, This is the story of the hunting of the unicorns, and how it began. At least it is the short version of that tale, for I could tell it in a way that would take many evenings and let you know the deeds of many heroes, both human and unicorn. He lowered his voice, speaking more intensely. Their sacrifices led to the creation of the first door between Earth and Luster, the path the unicorns follow to safety and freedom. This is the story behind that story, the story from which springs all other stories gathered here in the Unicorn Chronicles, all other songs sung on this world. It is a tale woven from greed and loss, lies and truth, bravery and sacrifice, ending and beginning. As Grimwald continued, Kara felt herself moving into the trance of the story. The power of his telling brought the tale to life inside her, drawing her back to a time long ago. Back in the morning of your world, when things were sweeter, rougher, stranger, cleaner, and more savage than they are today, the unicorns came forth. No one knows from whence they came. No one knows why. They just were. Their numbers were few, as if the world could only hold so much of their magic. And magic they were, for in their horns, in their hooves, in their very being, they carried the power to transform things. At first, even the unicorns did not know the extent of their powers, but as time went on, they found that they could clear water, heal wounds, quicken growth. In that early time, the unicorns lived in harmony with the world, bringing its sweetness and guarding some of the small animals from whom they took a fondness. They gathered much wisdom, which they stored in their heads, as they had no means of writing it down. Of course, in the newness of the world, there was less to know, and among them the unicorns could hold all they had learned, because they could communicate so easily. The knowledge was accessible to all. Eventually, another creature came to power. That was man. And though your species has many virtues, child, there is a strain of savagery running through it that has driven much of the best and most beautiful that your world once offered into extinction, or as in the case of the unicorns, exile. The Dimplethumb growled softly as if remembering some old anger. Okay, you're gonna remember this look that I'm giving you. Because when we get to book 3, stuff is about to change. Grim nodded toward him, acknowledging his right to complain, then continued his story. Man hunted. He hunted for food, for skins to warm himself and his family, even for sport. But he did not hunt the unicorns. Now death comes for all things, even unicorns, though they are remarkably long-lived. When the first of their kind died, a great mourning overtook the unicorns. The 12 oldest came to her body, and with their horns changed her flesh to soil, her bones to water, her mane and tail to flowers. But they could not change her horn, for it was too powerful. The horn stayed as it was. From its pretty, perfect beauty flowed inestimable tragedy. Carol felt Lightfoot shiver. A man found the horn and brought it back to his people, continued Grimwald. But to make himself seem braver and more honorable, he did a dishonorable thing. He told a great lie about the ferocity of the unicorn from which he had taken the horn, claiming that she had attacked him in the wood and that he had battled it to the death. In that falsehood lay the seeds of the tragedy that followed. And that is where we will end for today. Told y'all this story is amazing, and each chapter leaves like a cliffhanger to keep you on the edge of your seat for next time. So, without further ado, I will bid you all a good afternoon, lovelies. I will see you all next time. Bye-bye. Be good.